Welcome to Doctor on Call with your host, DocGriffon. The doctor will be with you momentarily. Our guest this evening is horror host Joe Flynn, who will be joining us this evening talking about his wonderful history. Due to recent events online, Doctor on Call recommends that you attain a maturity level of at least 30 and have your sense of humor thoroughly equipped before enjoying the show. Paging DocGriffon, you're needed in the OR. Stat.
And thank you very much, Nurse Wicked. Tonight, I would like to welcome somebody that I've known for quite a while, and he was a co-conspirator, getting me onto streaming when I first started. So, he is definitely a horror super fan, and even hosts his own show. So I'm not going to delay anymore. I'm just going to say welcome to the show, Joe Flynn.
Thank you, Doc. It's glad to be here.
Well, and it's nice to see you. You look like you're in good health.
Oh, yes, I am. I might not get hit by lightning today, but hey, you can never tell.
Now, super fan. Of course, the thing that I love to do is start it off from the very beginning. Were you always a California boy?
Yes, I am. Always have been.
Born and raised. Very nice. Now, were you more of a normally I ask if you're more of an urban, suburban, or rural, but we also have beachfront property to deal with. How'd you grow up?
I grew up in a big city, actually. For most people, I'm in the heart of Silicon Valley, San Jose, California. So, yeah, it's a big city. It's, you can't miss it.
Yeah. Now, did you grow up with any siblings?
I have 4 other brothers, 2 older, I'm the middle child, and then 2 younger brothers.
Oh, so did you find
my mom was pretty busy?
Yeah, did you find your life more as a moderator?
Kinda. Well, this is the funny story. My oldest brother. His name is Chris. Hey, Chris. He and I were born technically 15 minutes apart, but by 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
So I could have been the eldest if I would have shown up, 5 years earlier. But, yeah, it's pretty fun.
Now, of course, before we go any further, down there in the description, we do have the links for Joe's Facebook, his YouTube, and of course, we also have the connection to the online show
Thank you.
on Create TV.
Yes.
I said that right?
You did. Perfectly. It's right there. It's called Create TV. It's basically, think of it as, let's say if I was Mike Myers and Dana Carvey on Wayne's World, that's how my show is. Basically a local cable show. And that's how I do it. I put my show together, take it down to Create, download it, and then they play it, and I'm off and running every week. Unless the day my show airs, it's a holiday, and that's the only time I get off.
Now,
like a major holiday.
Now, as a kid, were you very interactive with school?
Yes, I actually was.
Were you a geek?
I was not a geek. I was a little shy little runt, but I kind of grew out of that shyness and made a lot of friends, and I would be called a geek in some fashions, I think.
Oh, were you so not very sociable, but did you have any teenage passions back then? Something that drew your affection?
Yes, basically, growing up here in the Bay Area, I fell in love with the TV show. That is what my show strives to kind of be, but without the movies. It was a show called Creature Features, and most cities have their own kind of creature feature shows. And the show that I grew up watching was with Bob Wilkins, the late great Bob Wilkins, and John Stanley. So I fell in love with that show because it was open and honest about the movies they were playing, which were the public domain movies. And that kind of, was like my passion of watching movies. And as I said, to me, I love my horror genre, but I grew up watching all types of the old 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s movies, and just going like, yeah.
Well, now, here's something that's interesting that the audience might not know. Back in the day, back when you still had rabbit ears on your TVs, they would do local hosting shows. Some of them, most of them were either Saturday morning matinee hosting, or they would do horror hosting late at night, and they were given access to a specific library. It was almost like a traveling show where it's like, okay, here's these 50 movies. You can pick any one you want, and they just buy it on contract.
Right.
And so legitimately all they needed was somebody who was willing to pass 2 hours of time to do segments in between these shows, because the only thing they had to fill up was around here the latest that it went was like 2 a.m. and then came the Star Spangled Banner and everything was done for the night.
That's right. And I remember those good old days of like, hey, wait a minute. Oh yeah, it's 2 o'clock. Here comes Star Spangled Banner, and then I'm going to bed now.
Well, now as a kid, did you sneak out to watch the old hosts?
Oh yeah, no. Actually, my mom, God bless her, allowed me to stay up on a Saturday night to watch the show until it was over. Which at that time it was originally on at like 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
Pushed it up to like 10 and 11. And then sometimes they would do double features, or they would say, hey, because the show was so popular, they decided to do Friday and Saturday night. So you got a double dose of the show with different movies on Friday and then on Saturday night.
Yeah, my local one, and I think everybody had a local horror host. That
they did. I believe.
Yeah. Now my favorite one, of course, was a gentleman by the name of Dr. Creep, and he was an ex-wrestler, and he decided to do this gimmick for a channel around here, Channel 22, and he ran it for a good 15 years. And he built up a cast of characters and all of that. Now, you had mentioned one host, but locally, or even something you could get off the rabbit ears from a long distance. Who was your favorite?
Mine personally, God bless him, he passed away a few years ago, which was Bob Wilkins, the first host of here out in the Bay Area for Creature Features. And he was a very, fun, laid-back guy who would tell you, hey, this movie isn't worth you staying up to watch. You know, it's so bad, it's so corny, you're not gonna believe how bad it is. And that's what most fans did was, hey, if he says it's so bad, I'm just gonna sit, I'm gonna watch it. You know.
Yeah, and that's something that I definitely want to talk about. There's a certain wry smile that I think the older horror fans have, because they understood that most production companies, most movie studios, did not give a crap about the quality. They just wanted to crank out as many horror movies because they knew it was teenage viewing bait.
Yes. Oh, I agree because with movies, back then, some of the movies, yeah, you'd have the dramas or the musicals or whatever, but during the weekend, definitely all the kids, teeny boppers, would want to see the latest horror movie that they'd be putting out,
And
And
how would you say that drive-ins affected the horror genre?
very good question. I believe the drive-ins kind of like, would be a fun place to see a horror movie. And I'll tell you a true story. When I was a little kid, we'd go to the drive-ins, and I'd like sneak over and I'd listen to on like the headsets of the movie, and I was watching part of the Legend of Hell House
Oh,
at the drive-in, and I was just going like, "Wow, this is such a cool movie,"
yeah.
And I just went like, hey, what better way on a Saturday night to watch a horror movie under the stars and watching and hearing.
Yeah, I think there's something magical about what the drive-ins brought, because you'd get like a triple feature of Corman films,
Yes.
and there's something unsettling about you just being in your car and out in the open. There's not as much security as there was sitting in your house or sitting in a movie theater.
Right. Because just imagine if someone decides to dress up as the creature, from any of Roger Corman's movies, and just like at the right moment, as people are now calling the scare jumps, knocked on your window.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, "Where's my popcorn?" Goodbye.
Okay, well, how many times did you do the drive-in knock scare?
God, none. I wish I could do it. It would be hilarious, though.
I'm guilty. When we'd run up to the concession stand to get something, walking back, I was a little shit when I was a kid. So, if I saw somebody not paying attention, I'd rap on their window real quick and run away.
Oh, yeah, and that would be just, hey, pay attention to the movie, man. It's gonna get spooky.
So, do you remember the first movie that scared you, and how old were you?
Oh my God. First movie that I saw that scared me. I admit, I personally got spooked when I was like about 9, 10. I was watching the original Dracula on television. I had never seen it before, and I kind of went like, "Hello, what are you trying to do? Why are you a bat?" Yeah, I'm out of here. But that's how my love of the horror genre came about, was learning about all these classic horror films and growing up and watching them, and then going like, okay, they're not, they're a make-up story, but based on some kind of reality that so and so came up with.
So, did you? was this? I mean, you said you were about 8 or 9 when you saw Dracula.
Right.
Did it become a hobby or an obsession?
It became a hobby, really, because I fell in love with how they make the movies, and I was just going like, these are some of the fun movies that, hey, nowadays people would like shrug off and say, it's not that scary. No, it's not. But, you look at movies like, oh, hey, The Exorcist. And people go like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah. Back in the day when it first came out, people who watched it went like, oh, that's so scary, that's so freaky. But, for nowadays, people just go like, okay, you watch, like any of the newer horror films, and as they're now, as we said, the jump scares. And some people get scared, literally, by those scenes, and other people just kind of sit back and kind of laugh or giggle. So, like, I saw that coming from a mile away. Thanks.
Now, do you think, getting into one of my deep questions, do you think that the social mores dictate nowadays what's scary and what isn't?
I think in some ways, yes. But personally, anything. Really, if you come up with a movie that you think could be really scary or suspenseful, and you do it correctly in the right way, yeah. But if you just are going in for example, I'll give you one movie that I thought, well, there are two, that I always come up with a thing saying, hey, if this movie has 1 or 2 jump scares, it doesn't necessarily make it a great movie. It might be a good movie, but it's not a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, for example, I love the way how the Blair Witch sort of, came out, and they were saying, oh, this is based on a true story. But once everyone found out, oh, no, we just like to market it that way to get you to go come and see the film. And then Paranormal Activity kind of was a movie that I just felt like, okay, you got 1 or 2 good jump scares, but the movie itself didn't really impress me all that much.
Do you think that horror producers now are focusing a little too much on those stings, on those jump scares, and they believe that that's what horror is?
I think in some ways, yeah, and then I know there are directors who don't really like the jump scares. They want to tell a legitimate scary movie, but, and once they get it done, and, the editor or whoever, or the movie company might say, hey, we really want to put this or that in, and sometimes it's out of the director's hands.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. I usually parallel it to fast zombies versus slow zombies.
Yes.
Because the slow, it's that creeping terror that they're coming, and there's nothing you can really do to stop them. You can only try to protect yourself, whereas fast zombies are jump scares. Bam, they're on you.
Yeah, they're on you, and you're dead. Thanks. I just blew myself up with gasoline in a truck. Thanks.
Yeah. Now, as a kid, did you collect or read any of the monster magazines?
I read the monster magazines. Growing up, I also picked up the Fangoria magazine, which was a big part of my youth.
Yeah.
And then I'd always go out here in California when I was still doing my show. I'd go to the conventions they'd have down in the south, or even up here in the Bay Area when they would ever show up. I'd show up and go to the convention, do little interviews here and there, and just say, okay, hey, we're done. Hang out with our friends and just relax.
Well, now, did you ever get to tour the Forrest J. Ackerman estate?
No, I had not, and I'm sorry to say they tore it down.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yep.
I do know one of the person who used to live with Forrest J. Ackerman. Really great guy. Runs a well put together convention. And so, yeah, it blows my mind away,
Well, and for those who don't know, Forrest J. Ackerman was the editor of Famous Monsters of Filmland, but he had a relationship with all the movie studios because he one day just asked, "What are you guys doing with these props after the movies?" And they flat out said, "We trash them. We just throw them away." And he's like, "Well, can I have them?" And he actually got an awesome working relationship with Fox Studios. And after they filmed Alien, he actually got set pieces and props and like alien heads from them. And he established a relationship that as long as he did not sell any of this, memorabilia, he could have as much as he wanted. And when they did Aliens, somebody called him and said, "Hey, we got some set pieces and a few things. Do you want them?" He's like, "Yeah." There were 4 tractor trailer trucks that pulled up to his house and gave him set pieces from Aliens, and he had the best home Halloween show because he put all this stuff up and he opened his home up to people who were horror fans, and he would give tours on the daily. Up until like he got really sick and then he died. God, what was it? I think he died in the 90s.
Yeah, I believe he died no longer than maybe like 10, 15 years ago. Maybe.
Oh yeah, he died in 2008. He was 92 years old.
Yep.
And I would say that I really enjoyed what he did because the magazines that he put together were for horror fans. There would be the stories doing the backstory explanation of what this monster was, but he'd also have articles of how they did this, how they made the monsters. And
right.
I always found that fascinating. Now, so you're in your teens, you're moving along, you're getting close to graduation. What were your thoughts? Did you want to do the higher education route?
Well, I did. I kind of ended up going to junior college, which was fun. I ended up becoming a DJ.
Okay.
I was a college DJ. Had fun. Met a lot of great people. A couple of them have gone on to do bigger things and whatnot, gone to radio and stuff like that. And then two of my other friends, we decided, we're all hanging out one night and decided, hey, let's do a TV show. And what happened was, like, our friend called us and he said, hey, how would you guys like to help out on a TV show? And we go, okay, so what type of show is it? And he goes, it's a massage therapy show.
Okay.
And so we ended up for a couple of years doing that. And that's when we decided, hey, Joe, why don't you do your own show? And I said, okay, sure. So I put in my application to get my own show.
And what year was this?
This was 2001.
Okay.
And I get the call saying, by the way, you want that time space? And I said, sure. So it was like originally me, John, my friend Will, my brother Neil, my younger brother, doing comedy skits. And so we basically did the show, and I thought after the first episode I was going to get canceled. Or second, because my brother, who was doing comedy skits, was at a fire department playing a flamboyant character named Frankie Fashion Frenzy. And there was a lot of sexual innuendo. And I was thinking, oh, they're going to kill me. But nope. And then after that, every year or so, they do a lottery system where every show gets to change their times. And whatever time you want to be on, if that time isn't taken, you can be on.
Gotcha.
And so I was like originally on at like 4:30 in the afternoon on a Wednesday. And I realized I'm getting killed. I'm being killed by Oprah and Judge Judy. I gotta find a nice bigger time. So we ended up moving the show to like midnight, like on a Saturday night. And I go thinking, okay, Friday midnight, which would be Saturday morning. But then it was like kind of getting confused because it's like I'm on Friday at midnight, but it's Saturday morning. And so we kind of decided, after a few years of that, changed it to 11:30.
So now was the format of the show still comedy skits?
No, we basically my brother ended up, going because of work, couldn't do it, and so it just became straight out of horror show.
Now, is this something that was nagging in the back of your head? Something that you had, I would say, not to be obsessive, but just one of those things where, this is what I really like. This is what I want to do.
Well, no, it's like basically what we do in between, like I would talk for about 12 minutes or so, and my friends, we'd like interview like models, or we'd go videotape bands performing.
Mm-hmm.
We'd get like some local band, like if they're, sometimes we just videotape for the 30 minutes my show is or under. We'd like videotape a band, interview, and just say, here you go. You guys, this is the whole show about you guys. And so that's what we do in between. And then after that, I just, ended up with a co-host named Priscilla, who I met through a friend who I had as a guest. I met my friend, and I'll give you his name, Brian. Brian, I met through AOL Horror Chat.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian, turns out he lived in San Jose, and he wanted to be a makeup artist. So he asked if he could come on and be a guest on my show, and I told him sure. So I let him make me up as a zombie.
Okay.
So and I ended up becoming a zombie. Then he jokingly said, hey, I want you to go to our video store, which was nearby my house. And he goes, I want you to ask if they have Chitty Chitty Bang Bang on DVD.
Yeah.
And so I did, being the brave zombie. I spooked a couple people because they were thinking, is that real? And I go, yeah. I'm a real zombie. I'm coming for brains. But first I gotta watch Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah. So you're out of college, and you're into the workforce. Did you because around that time, horror conventions were kind of unheard of.
Right.
When did you actually hit your first horror con?
The very first horror con I kind of went to, which was actually not a horror con, but it was a sci-fi convention.
Oh yeah.
And I'll give you, I'll take it way back. It was basically a Doctor Who and Dark Shadows convention.
What was the year?
It was 1980, 70 something, 80. It was in downtown San Jose, and I went and I met most of the people from Doctor Who. I missed meeting Jonathan Frid, who played Barnabas Collins of Shadows, but you know, it was kind of like, whoa, you know.
Was
fun.
Was there a doctor there?
Yes, it was Colin Baker.
Oh, that number 5.
Yes. So, and it was also the gal who played Nissa, Sarah Sutton, and one of the producers. I found, here's the funny thing, about a year ago, I was looking through my stuff. I found the little program guide, and basically it had all the autographs that I got.
Yeah.
And I was like going like, holy crap, I totally forgot about that.
Now, did this because like my first science fiction convention was like 1975 with Star Trek.
Yes, and a couple of those.
And I got fascinated not just with the fact that you could meet the stars, but there was something about a convention that I found to be indescribable. What would you say if you're telling people if you're talking to someone who has never been to an actual convention? What are a couple of good reasons that they should?
Well, first off, always, you know, go in, have fun. You'll meet a lot of great people who share the same interests. Maybe, you know, they might like one movie that you totally love and you bond over that. Or, you know, you just go and you check out, you know, all these wonderful people. Like, for example, I was going to be out of town this weekend, but unfortunately things changed, so I was not able to go to the convention I usually go to, which, you know, and it's like you go and you know, for some people, hey, you might run into like a famous director or an actress or an actor, but for the most part, for me, you go and you check out, you know, and you meet different fans from all over the country or the United States, and you go like, hey, you know.
I'll be honest with you. I always thought that conventions were like the internet before the internet, because you're getting people of like mind together in one place to talk about things that they love.
That's true, and I agree with you, because I don't know, you know, ever since going to when Fangoria used to do a convention, you know, I'd pop up in Burbank, and I've met, you know, so many great people and some really cool filmmakers, you know, and to this day, you know, some of them, you know, I see maybe once a year and go like, hey, great to see you, you know. What are you working on? What are you doing? You know.
I'm trying to remember the guy's name who you know, honestly was the spearhead of Fangoria.
Tony Tapone.
Yeah, Tony. There we go. I met I met Tony once, and it must have been a bad day.
Oh, well.
Because he wasn't really having anything that day.
And it's like, granted, everyone. It doesn't matter if you're a regular person or, a celebrity. You can have a real bad day. And even though there are people, like, let's say if you're at a convention and you go meet someone and it's just like, whoa, why, it's like, that guy's in a pissy mood. What's up with that? And it's like, I try to take it, it's like my whole thing is with me and my shows. It's like when I go to a convention, it doesn't matter if it's a big convention or a small convention, I go and I say, hi, I'm Joe Flynn. I do a little cable show. Want to know if I could do a quick little interview with you, when you get the time. If they say yeah, I say great. If they say no, I just say, okay, thank you for your time and move along. Thank them and just keep going,
Now, I don't know if my memory is correct, but I think when we first met, it was through Evil Eric's show.
Okay.
With Nicole.
Yes, could be. Is this on Now Live?
Huh?
I was asking Doc if it was Now Live. Or live video.
Oh yeah, we are live and broadcasting.
Yes, we are. No, but this is the thing. This is also the fun thing too. I ended up doing a few good years off of 2 different websites for my show because I actually found, for example, the first website I went to and did, which was called Now Live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you froze up there.
Oh, sorry. We're still there, I hope.
Yeah, we're a little blurry and a little jarry, but you're still with us.
Let me just situate me. Hello, I'm the Headless Joe. No, but with Now Live, I discovered Now Live through a Facebook friend, or a MySpace friend back in the day. And I was going, what is this Now Live? And so I went and ended up going to Now Live, really liking it, discovering different shows, people that, I was like, hey, this is cool, I like it. So I'm going to do a show on for Now Live. But then the day came when the people who were running Now Live decided, hey, let's just start charging everybody money to, because this is the best way I describe Now Live, was that you had 4 different webcams where you could see 3 people on web and you as the host on cam.
Yeah.
And then you could have people call in, ask questions, and you'd have guests come on and people chat in the chat room. But then, then when they decided everyone had to pay money to, do their shows, a lot of the shows decided to say, hey, we can't pay that, so we're out of here.
That was exactly what happened with Blog Talk Radio too, because I had a show there for a couple of years, and then they're like, okay, well, you've got some advertisers, but you're going to need to subsidize our income. And I was like, I'm not paying you jack, bye. And
right, well, that's the thing. Then the next step we went to live video, which was a similar thing with Now Live, except for without the webcam, except for the host, and then people chatting in the room. And so I was there for a couple of years, but then they decided, someone decided to screw them over or whatever, and we left. And then of the last few years, I was actually co-hosting a show off of Blog Talk Radio
Hmm.
with a friend of mine named Francie Weatherman called Francie and Friends. And I got together with that was because she asked, or her boyfriend asked me to come on to be a guest. And the girlfriend automatically took a liking to me and said, hey, come on, be my co-host. And so we'd end up interviewing people from all types of the industries, from movies to comedy, you know.
Well, I'm hoping I'm going to deep dive here for a minute, because I think it was on Evil Eric's show on Now Live, and I thought that you were on it too. Do you?
I was.
Do you remember when Evil Eric got Gary Busey?
Oh, I think so.
Okay. Because I on my late night show, I tell the story about how I interviewed Gary Busey, and I wish because I think it's appropriate to explain to the audience, back then when you had stuff like Now Live, unless you were banking it on your own website, then it did not get archived. So literally what you did went away if you didn't have some type of system to be able to record it and hold it and put it on another server, because Now Live did not give you the opportunity to do that.
True.
Is there any like one interview or any one show that you did that you wish you could get a hold of again?
Oh, man, that is a very good question. Personally, I want to say, oh, God. I want to say it would definitely be, a couple of the shows from Now Live where it was probably my friend Alyssa Dowling who's on. And I think, I want to say, I totally forgot. We had so many good people come on our show on Now Live that it was like, oh God, who, what, why, But yeah, I think it would be Alyssa Dowling.
I'm trying to remember. I know since I love B horror, and that's what I'm thinking, where I have seen her before.
Yes, she's been in a lot of B movies that, I personally, she to me is one of my favorite actresses. She's also a very talented singer. If she could release an album, she'd be pretty cool. But yeah, she's a very talented actress. She's was in a movie called We're Not Here. She's actually in a new movie coming up with former wrestler and now actor Philip Brooks, who people might best known as CM Punk, in a movie called The Girl on the Third Floor.
Huh.
And so she's been in a lot of different movies, and if you go to her the movie International Movie Database, look up Alyssa Dowling, you'll see all the films she's been in, and she's really good.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in seeing some information, because I did pull up Girl on the Third Floor, and and there it is.
Yeah.
She was in Transmorphers.
That's right.
Okay.
First, I think I'm not. I want to say the Asylum movies. That's it.
You know what? Either next month or the month after, I'll be interviewing the CEOs from Asylum.
Very cool.
We've been trying to track them down forever, just because they want to the one CEO is like, yeah, sure, I'll come on. And then he's like, well, wait a minute. I want the other two guys to come on too. So,
Yeah, so,
there you go.
Just in case I get ambushed, I'm going to throw that guy in the fire. Hey, a dragon? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Sharknado, but that's definitely a little crew that I'd love to pick their brains about.
Well, there you go. And it was funny because I found it very interesting because, as you know, this last weekend would have been a convention I would have gone to called Monster Palooza. And for any of you guys who don't know what Monster Palooza is, I'll tell you this much. It's mostly about makeup and effects. They'll have a lot of different celebs there signing autographs and stuff like that, but it's mostly come look at some of the makeup effect people working on actual people doing makeup.
Yeah, wow. I'm scrolling down through them, and there's like 50 different effects studios.
Yes, and this is one of my favorite conventions to go to since the Fangoria days, because originally it used to be in Burbank, but because it got so big that due to crowd control, they had to move it to a bigger venue, which was in Pasadena. So they have two events. They do Monster Palooza in April. And then in September, they do Son of Monster Palooza, which is the little smaller version of it, but in Burbank, California.
Wow. Hey, they even have Dick Smith studio.
Yeah. They basically, it's like you walk around, they have vendors that sell a lot of great little masks. A friend of mine was selling soap that was handcrafted with special monsters and stuff like that. Also, they have a museum where you walk around inside, and they have all these super props from all these classic horror sci-fi films. And you just go like, hey, I wish I could take you home with me.
Yeah.
You know, I want to stick you out on my lawn so I can scare people. But then, then of course there's the chance where you can sit and walk around, meet a celeb. Whichever celeb that you're having to like say, oh yeah, I really loved you in this movie. Would you please sign the autograph? And you go like, okay. And then you run into a lot of your friends, and you just hang out and you socialize. Then on Saturday night they have an after party. And this last weekend they gave an award to Tom Savini or Savani.
No, Savini, you got it.
I call him Savini, Savani. Tom. But
he's honestly, I've never had a good experience with him.
Well, don't worry, I'll just save you there. But no, it's all pending. Again, he may, it's like I never talk ill about any celeb, regardless of, hey, really, sure. Let Joe not, deal with it. I sacrifice Joe, but yeah, and it's like, they had like, I think Kane Hodder and
Kane's awesome.
Come out and give out the award to Tom and stuff like that. And the year before that, it was like V. Neal who got the award, with Paul Rubin handing it out to her.
Nice.
Everyone knows who Paul Rubin is. he of course is better known as Pee Wee Herman.
Well, but he did play a very nice vampire in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Very true. And this is the thing: we met these nice guys from Australia who had shown up to the convention, and they're like thinking, just like with everybody else, saying, "Oh, hey, yeah, we're hearing rumors that Johnny Depp is going to be the guy to give V. Neil the award because they had worked together so many times." But when it turned out to be Paul Rubens, everyone was like, "Yay!" You know.
Well, now let me ask you this because it's kind of come up into the chat.
Okay.
Are you accepting of now what is happening with practical effects being replaced by CG?
Not really. I don't mind. You know, if it's done in the right way, it's great. But when you overdo it, you kind of just go like, "Oh God, why? You just killed your movie." You know.
Well, now you've seen Alien, or excuse me,
Yep.
the thing, the remake,
Yeah.
well, the prequel.
Right.
Have you seen the footage that Woodruff and company made for the practical, and then have you seen it compared side by side with the CG?
No, I have not.
It is out there on the YouTubes, and if there's any better case for someone to see how good practical is versus CG, that's definitely the thing to look at, because I don't know why, and I don't know, maybe you have a thought on this. That most of the major movie studios are like, yeah, we'll just do CG.
Right. And I it's all depending on what you're trying to create. But again, I personally prefer the practical than the CGI because I'd rather see and know that, like, for example, the guy who made me up as a zombie, he actually, after he did that, within a couple of weeks after that, he ended up working at K&B
Oh, nice.
and working on The Walking Dead and other movies. And it's like, I would joke around with him and I go, "What movie are you working on right now?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm working on Spider-Man." It's like, really? Still? But, it's so, I'm happy for all my friends who I've, met and talked to, and, and they're doing their things, and it makes me happy to see them succeed on what they do.
Well, so let me ask this, because we know that conventions, by your description, are almost well, it is a communal experience.
Yes, it is.
Is there any star or I would guess Hollywood person that you kind of just flipped head over heels for? It's like somebody you always wanted to meet, and they fulfilled the expectation.
I'll tell you this much. I will give you one. Well, there's two.
Okay.
I've met both of them actually. They're very beautiful women. Denise Duff is one who I totally loved in the Full Moon Subspecies series 2 through 4.
Oh, okay. There, thank you. You rang my memory bell.
And then the other is the always wonderful and very sweet Tiffany Shepis.
I'm not getting that one.
Tiffany, it was in The Hazing. She was also in the remake of Night of the Demons. She was the bouncer gal, or the woman taking money for the party. She's been in a lot of movies. She was in Trauma and Juliet. She's been around for a while. She did a movie called Dracula versus, oh God, was it Jesse James? It's just like, she's been in a lot of movies. She was also in one of the Sharknado movies, just to give you a heads up.
Oh, there you go.
But, Tiffany's been around for a long time, and she's really, but then there's like meeting Rob Zombie, for example, was pretty crazy.
Now, is there anyone that you met that you had stars in your eyes about that kind of didn't meet your expectation?
Well, I want to say not really that many. I don't think no one really, because I try, to look and say, hey, it could be like the person's having not a great day, so I just move along, And as I said, I don't ever try to go and talk ill about any celeb, because who knows, I might be interviewing them next time,
Yeah. Who is your biggest get?
My biggest guest on my show would probably be either Rob Zombie, Bill Moseley, Denise Duff, Tiffany Shepis, Alyssa Dowling. I'm going to name them all. Dave Rita, my friend, who's actually a really good filmmaker. A guy I acted for in a movie, Matthew Vanaha. Yes, I acted. It was terrifying. You don't want to hire me as an actor. I only play a TV host, okay?
I got a nice story about Bill Moseley. I was trying to secure music for the little independent movie that I was making about 10 years ago. And I got his email, and I sent it off to him. And because he has a band called the Corn Bugs with Buckethead.
Yes.
And they have some very unique music. And
yes, they do.
And I wanted to get permission to use Head Cheese in the soundtrack. And he was like, "Yeah, I don't see any problem with it. I'll talk to Buckethead, but I'm kind of busy right now because I'm filming this musical." And I'm like, "What's the musical?" And he's like, "Oh, it's something called Repo."
Yes.
And he gave me like the 411 on it. So I'm like, you know what? Gotta go see this.
Oh yeah.
And it was funny because we found it at Walmart because it went direct to DVD. And I picked it up and I'm like, we're gonna watch this. And my wife just kind of looks at me and she goes, "This really doesn't look very good." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's got Bill Moseley in it." So and then I handed it to her and she read everybody else that was in it. She's like, "Okay, I'll give it a watch." After we were done with it, she went, "This is my copy. You get your own."
There you go. I'll tell you a story. I actually one year we're at Fangoria. We're at a pre-party for the convention, and I ran into Daryl Lynn Bozeman, the director, and Terrence Zunich, Repo Man. And it was kind of funny because I just went like, "Oh, hey, you're the guy in Repo, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." It was kind of funny just meeting them. It was like, what am I supposed to say? Who the hell are you? I'm Joe Flynn. I'm a short guy. Don't kill me. But, I knew about Repo, and I actually own a copy of it. Because I thought, hey, it's got a great little cast with Bill and it's the guy from Skinny Puppy and Alexa Vega, Paul Savino, who was at one of the Monster Palooza like a few years ago. Another person that I really truly enjoyed meeting at Monster Palooza was Martin Landau.
Oh, R.I.P. Good actor.
Yes, and I got to meet his daughter just the other year at Monster Palooza, Juliet Landau.
Now, well, she does acting too, doesn't she?
Yes, she was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV series.
Mm-hmm.
She was Drusilla, the crazy love interest of Angel and Spike.
Yeah.
For the people who watched Buffy. Because she's actually in a new horror movie that should be out on DVD. I'll give it a plug. Called Terror at Hallows Eve. And it's directed by a guy who's actually from my home city. Directed by a guy by the name of Todd Tucker.
Now, let's kind of get into this a little bit. Everybody that's in the chat, since we did start late, we're going to do the Q&A in a few minutes. So if you do have any questions for Joe, please feel free and start loading up the chat. Also, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Joe, there's down in the descriptor his Facebook, the YouTube, and if you want to catch his show, it's on Create TV, and there's the link down there for it too.
Yeah, it's every Friday night, people. It's every Friday night. Unless it's like, as I said, unless the day it falls like on Christmas or Thanksgiving, I think, or New Year's, one of the three, then they won't air it. But other than that, you're good.
Well, and we have, well, here's the question that I have for you. There are certain fan bases out there that are extremely fanatical, like the Brony. They have their conventions, and there are, well, there used to be furry conventions. Those don't really happen much anymore. Yeah. But how would you compare the horror fan base to these other, I hate to use the word extreme, but extreme fandoms?
Well, I think, for example, I believe the horror community is one of the best communities because we're always there for one another. You know, regardless if you don't know someone. Like, I'll give you a prime example. A person I knew off of Facebook was tragically, you know, beaten up by her ex-boyfriend. And she was severely beaten up, and she was able to escape. She went back home, and then within a year or two afterwards, she passed away due to complications.
Oh, my.
And so the horror community out in Florida decided, hey, let's do, you know, wear black or blue, you know, ribbons for the gal. And that's what they did to honor her memory. Is to say, hey, yo, it doesn't, you know, that's what, you know, didn't, you know, people who may not have known her in real life, you know, don the, you know, ribbon for her and stuff like that.
For sure.
And it's like if some famous celeb is having problems, and you know there'll be a fan base of people like trying to save, you know, like Hollywood memorabilia or whatever it is. They're there. They're gonna, you know, stick up and try to save what they can.
Now, I've seen a lot of these subsects of fandom be very closed off. But I'll say this with not only with the sci-fi community, but the horror community, they definitely seem to be open and accepting, and especially for the horror community, they get the joke. If that makes sense.
Right. They do. It's like, like let's say, for example, let's bring up Repo the Genetic Opera. Sure, people might be thinking, hey, wait a minute, this isn't necessarily a horror film, but it does have music and it does have horror elements to it, and it's just fun,
It feels like when you're watching a screening, especially
Right.
of an old classic, that the most brutal horror scenes, people are laughing and clapping and applauding. Can you explain the psychology on that?
That to me is like basically, I think people getting out their aggressions in some ways. Like, for example, if you're watching all these, movies that are pretty violent and stuff like that, and it might be like, trigger nerves. And I'm not saying people who watch all these things are going to go out and start randomly, killing people. It's just that they kind of know that, hey, this is like someone's artwork, someone's passion for filming, the drive of the story, but some of those people do not, it's just a way to get some of the angst out.
Yeah, I think
So,
I think the horror community revels in its horror. That it's
Right.
something that they're appreciating the art that's on the screen, and I would challenge anybody to find another community where you can get top shelf flicks and you can get those C/D grade movies, and they are all appreciated on some level.
Right. It's like you could take a movie like Plan 9 from Outer Space, supposedly one of the worst movies of all times. Hey, I don't think, and as another horror host has always said, hey, they may be bad, but they're just misunderstood. Mr. Lobo. I see, hey, it may not have been the greatest movie, but I wouldn't say it's the worst movie,
Oh yeah, I
But-
mean there's some really horrible movies out there, but there's so much passion in them. You can see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you could as I've always said, in my point of view, hey, even though, as I said, hey, if you have one, two, it may not be a great movie, but I could see, the passion that went into it, or, like, hey, I love the cinematography on this movie, or, or the nice, practical effects that someone did with a kill. Hey, great, keep it up. It's going to get there,
Well, I've got
One of these, What?
I've got a definite recommendation for you if you haven't seen it. It's called Catholic Ghoul Girls.
I have not.
It is
Well-
horrible, but it is wonderful.
There you go. You see, and this is the thing, and I'll give a recommendation for people who may not know. Here's the movie that I think everyone should watch, but take it with a grain of salt. A movie called Retarded.
Oh, I've seen. Yeah, that one's fun.
Well, you know who's also in that film?
You?
Yes,
Haha.
was. And I kid you not, as I said, don't hire me as an actor. It was basically, I think the reason why I'm in that movie was because the directors who we interviewed for their first film, for everyone who does not know, it was a movie called Monstered.
I,
We inter-
I've seen Monster too.
So basically, we interviewed them to promote the movie. So in turn to thanking us for interviewing them, they gave me and my co-host a role in the film, Retard Dad, and my character was named Dickie Pringle. And my famous line was, "I'm here to seriously fuck up shit." And that was my line. And then, except for Fazizzle my nizzle, the Snoop Dogg quote. And it was just like, what? And I was like so goofing up on that because I was like going like, what? Because I didn't know if I had any lines or not. But I got to play a bum, and I'm sitting with one of the main stars from the first film, and we're supposedly drinking wine. I hand up the wine to the zombie. Zombie rips my head off. And hold on, I'll be right back.
All right. Now, of course, as I said previously, there is the links down there for Joe's stuff. Also, there's my links down there, and of course, one of the things I want to point out is below all the links, there's my prescription for additional entertainment, and that is the people that I like to watch. The phrase "criminally undersubbed" has been used many times, but yeah, these guys are worth the watch.
Yes. Say hello to Simon.
So you got some head then?
Yeah, this is Simon. This is my actual head from the movie Retard Dad.
Nice.
So I got him as a momentum. So Simon does make an appearance occasionally on my show when I, feel lonely. And so Simon does things himself, actually.
See, that's my only regret for being in indie movies. I never got killed. I was like the exposition guy, so I had to stay around to explain shit, and I hated that.
Well, yeah. Well, the fun thing too is like the last movie I was in, which I don't think anyone's seen. But there are some clips of it on YouTube. It's called Chloroform Girls, directed by Matt Vanaha.
That sounds like a good title.
It is. It's actually a very fun movie. I play a similar character, Joe. I play a horror host. My show's kind of like linked in there somehow or another. And it's sort of like I get to play bad dad, kind of.
Yeah.
I have a lot of kids, but I get to swear, which I hardly ever do. If you watch my TV show, I don't swear. I keep it, as nice as possible. I'll play trailers that'll probably have swear words, but you don't see me going like, God damn it, Janet, where's the Rocky Horror Picture Show when I don't need it? But, but that's the fun thing. And so when people hear me swear, they go like, wait a minute, I never thought, Joe Flynn, you don't swear. Yeah, that's it.
You said, bullshit, I don't.
That's right. Damn it. I'm not in charge of the spaceship, man. It's just driving on its own.
So you ready for a couple questions?
Sure.
Okay. First question. Jack T. Ripper, the serial killer, asks, how do you feel about the remakes or reboots in the horror genre?
Don't kill me, please, Jack. I'd rather hang out with Jack the Ripper, man. I look at it. There are some movies that I would say, like find me a lesser known movie that people may have heard of but have never seen, and redo those.
Well,
compared to,
to ask directly, what'd you think about the Suspiria remake?
I actually have not seen it.
Oh, okay.
I hear good things and bad things, and it's like, and as I've always said, no one is right or wrong. If you like it, and let's say I didn't like the movie, I'm not going to judge you and say, oh, no, you can't like that movie. Oh, yeah, you can, because I look at it this way. Everyone has a different opinion. But I personally feel that, if you're going to reboot a classic movie like The Thing or Alien or Terminator, whatever the movie is.
Or Blair Witch.
Or Blair Witch, The Evil Dead. You gotta come up and be creative. But I personally, hey, it's okay to do it maybe like 30, 40 years from now, after we're all dead and gone.
Oh, remake something like Kingdom of the Spiders or The Green Slime.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Find, a movie that people may remember but have never really seen, like Night of the Leafets.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Gargoyles. Anything.
Oh, no, please not. Please not the bunny movie.
Okay, I swear. I love bunnies, so I wouldn't want them to get killed. Here's another classic 70s movie. Food of the Gods.
Oh, yeah.
Just imagine what they could do with that thing. Sorry, that's a bad.
Or Phase 4. That was kind of sci-fi horror.
Yes, it was. Go ahead.
Okay. Nurse Wicked asks, Joe, do you have a? Well, you know what? Before we go to this question, can you name a reboot or a remake that was worth the time?
I will give you one. I'll give you this one. Since I personally enjoyed it, I would say the reboot or the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Yep.
By Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm not saying that there haven't been some decent attempts at some reboots, but most of them kind of like, okay, God, why did we do this? Oh, I know why. To make some money, Now,
do you think it's more difficult in the horror genre to do a remake or a reboot because of the fact that the audience is expecting the original beats from the original movie?
Right. I think that is one good thing. It's like, for example, let's take the new Halloween reboot.
Okay.
Or sequel. I liked it. I thought it was well made, put together. It was great to see Jamie Lee Curtis back as Laurie Strode.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely, like, oh, hey, let's twist it up and say, oh, by the way, Michael Myers was never your kid, or never your brother. Okay, I can deal with that. But still, it was a good remake. That would have been probably like my second choice if someone asked about reboot.
Yeah, I think it's okay for people to throw away continuity from those direct to DVD movies because they're simply cash grabs.
Right. It's like, don't get me wrong. It's like, it's like whenever there's a big blockbuster, and I'm not knocking any movie company, but, all of a sudden you see like a made-for-DVD movie, and it's like a similar title to the movie that's majorly coming out.
You're saying Asylum.
Yeah, I'm not saying the Asylum. I'm not saying anybody, man. Joe Flynn, that's it. It's always Joe Flynn.
Hey, I'll be interviewing these guys, and I'm going to be nice, but I'm not going to be pulling any punches because, some of the stuff that they make is bad, but it's good.
Yes, it's bad, and as you're saying, good in a funny type of way at times. I have friends who've been in some of the Asylum movies. And it's like, I would never knock them for, being in any type of movies. If it makes you happy, If you're good with the, casting, great,
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but the guy who wrote Tromeo and Juliet.
James Gunn.
He was a co-writer, but there was another guy.
Right.
He moved to Asylum when they first started with movies like Killjoy.
Right.
And we had a chance to interview him, and he had some really nice, crazy stories about, just get the movie made. I'm thinking if he ever gets to the point where he's got the ability to write a biography, I think the title of it should be Just Get the Movie Made.
That's right. Just like Lloyd Kaufman. Damn. Your own damn movie.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Lloyd on too, because I had him on my show about 10 years ago, and he's an amazing interview.
Yes, he is. I've actually met him a few good times.
Yeah, he did.
He is a hilarious guy.
Yeah, he even shot a bit for our independent movie, so that was kind of cool. He's a whore. He's a camera whore. He loves that stuff.
Yeah.
Nurse Wicked asks, Joe, do you have a favorite horror movie, or a favorite series?
I personally, my favorite horror series, I want to say was, we'll just say Halloween. We'll go the original Halloween film.
Okay, now you're counting in everything, right?
I'm counting in everything. All 19,000 of them.
Okay, what was your opinion on Halloween 3: Season of the Witch?
Well, at first when I saw it when I was a young lad, I couldn't stand it. But now that I'm gotten older, I realized, hey, wait a minute, it's not that bad. I understand what they're trying to do.
Oh,
they're trying to go a separate way.
Oh, Joe,
but
we were never young. We were born old.
That's true. Hi, I'm like the sun, and he's the moon. Guess how old they are.
Let's see here. If Edgar Allan Poe was alive today, would any of his works be made into movies? And what do you think is his most frightening story?
Ooh, that would be interesting. Hi, I'm Edgar Allan Poe, played by Jeffrey Combs. I think, it'd be interesting to see what they would do. If, like, hey, let's do The Raven, or let's do Telltale Heart. I really think his, Telltale Heart would probably be a feeding bucket of blood for me. I
don't think I can disagree with that. I do like Telltale Heart a lot. And yeah, I think Jeffrey Combs could pretty much act in anything. So I'm completely okay with him. Uh-oh, we lost him. Let's see if we get him to call back in. Oh, there we go. Hold on. There we go. Hey, you came back.
Sorry about that. I got another phone call of a friend of mine, and I kind of like hit. I didn't want to talk to him right now, and so I accidentally hung up on you guys, and I apologize.
Oh no, you're fine. I just have to kind of pull this out so we can see you better.
Okay, sorry, I was just...
We got the freeze up again. We are... there we go. You're back.
I'm sorry. Amanda, can you check? Nah, Tom, I'm busy for a few minutes. Okay. I'm back. Sorry.
You're fine.
I was talking to my sister.
let's take a look here.
Yes.
Oh, now here's a great question by Jack T. Ripper.
Okay.
He says, "What's scarier, knowing that something is out to get you, or the paranoia that can set in the human mind, hypothesizing that something is after you?"
Ooh, I would go B, really, because I always have these dreams of, like what it would be like to be one of the last surviving people in the world, and you're like I Am Legend, why am I still here? Why? Why am I still around while everyone else is gone?
Yeah, okay. Now, would you say that, and I wouldn't call it a horror trope, but would you say that the fear of the unknown is probably one of the greatest tools for horror?
Yes, it is.
Because what is it? You really, Jaws does a great job of it. Alien does a great job of it, where you really don't see. You don't see the antagonist. You don't see the monster very often. And
right.
And I do think that heightens the horror.
Yes, it does.
Let's see.
I'm right here.
Okay.
Am I? Sorry about that. Just plugging in my phone charger.
No, you're all right.
No.
Now, if you could, if you had the power, what movie would you pull out of the archives, dust it off, and do a remake? Or you could, or you can reboot it too.
Ooh, I personally, I've always thought about this. There are two movies that I really would want to redo in my mind.
Okay.
Would be The Horror of Dracula, the Christopher Lee Peter Cushing classic.
The Hammer film.
The Hammer film.
Oh yeah, I loved Hammer.
Hammer is a great company. I love their film style. Their beauty of it all.
Yeah, I enjoy a little cheese on my horror.
Right. So that would be one. Then the other is one of the movies that I had mentioned earlier, The Legend of Hell House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Haunting of Hill House yet? The Netflix show?
No, I have not. I've heard it's really well made. The House on the Haunted Hill, or the House of the. Oh yeah, whatever.
It's The Haunting of Hill House.
That's it.
As a matter of fact,
yeah.
I worked with one of the writers, and
nice.
We're gonna have her on next month. So,
I will do one sec. Okay, hold on.
All right.
Okay, give me like 2 minutes. Okay, sorry, my friends. I might take you for a little road trip. But it's all depending on how much time we have left.
We have as much time as you need, or as you want.
Okay, yeah, because my next door neighbors, God bless them, they want to go out to eat, and they're like saying, we're gonna go to Taco Bravo. You coming with us? And I'm going like, okay, give me a few minutes, and so his brother's in the bathroom.
But well, certainly, yeah. Let me know when we need to end this out, and
okay.
And we will.
That's okay. Again, I'm as I said, I'm charging up my phone. Again, there are so many other movies. Again, I would love to reboot. something that people have not seen. You know, like as you said, the green slime. The Blob's been remade and gonna get remade again. Another movie that's sci-fi, but that should have been remade like years ago, but thank God they haven't quite got it yet, is another classic movie called Logan's Run.
That actually they have been trying for, I think it's about
Yes.
10 years to
Yes,
get it
it's
made.
been about that long, yeah. It feels like forever. And the last thing I heard that they're gonna supposedly, and which I have kind of no problem with, but in some ways I don't know, is they're thinking about changing Logan from a man to a woman, which,
Oh.
it's kind of like that 50-50. And then, of course, a movie that was filmed nearby us in California, cult classic everyone should know and love, The Lost Boys, is getting a TV series. And, of course, they've made the Frog brothers into the Frog sisters, which, again, hey, I understand. I can see where they're trying to go with it. But, again, I don't know if it'll work or not, It's those things that kind of like, when you screw around with a classic movie, unless it's a real good twist, sometimes it won't work.
I can't disagree. If you're having characters that are the aggressors, not the antagonist, but the protagonist, then
Right.
it just seems appropriate to make them male.
Right. And, oh, yes. And my dog's happy because his BFF is here. And so, but yeah, again, as I was going to say, yeah, some of these movies that I love and enjoy, hey, as I said, there's no right or wrong. If you like a movie, if you don't, that's my way of thinking. If you like something, oh, great. If I didn't, it's no big deal, because I don't judge anybody for liking movies. Okay.
You almost ready to go?
Yeah.
I have one final question for you.
Okay.
What's stopping you from making the transition to YouTube?
Well, that's the thing. I am not computer savvy. I would have someone, our former camera guy who would be with us, used to do the YouTube channel with us, but he left and he now lives out in Arizona, and, basically, that's it. I want, I'll try to learn how to do it and put up stuff so people can see more of our stuff on YouTube and stuff like that, which you can go and, be careful when you go to YouTube, because there is the Joe Flynn, the actor from McHale's Navy, is also there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the thing. There's look at the guy with the big black hat on YouTube and a beard. He looks like the Wolfman.
I mean, honestly, as long as you've got somebody who's helping with the upload, I don't see any reason why you couldn't.
Right. That's the thing. That's what I'm going to try to look into, is have someone who knows their stuff, and we can put up some stuff from YouTube. And, hopefully the next convention I go to will, put up some stuff and people can see it. Like, for example, the video I sent you of my friend Dave Rita, who is, great guy, good filmmaker, someone that I really like and have a blast with every time I see him. And, you know, and then there's my always wonderful friend, Chris Hannon, who dresses up as kind of spooky creatures. And he'll walk around the convention and he'll scare you.
Well,
But
that's part of the fun.
yes, and plus he also does music that is similar to the band Midnight Syndicate. If you know who the band Midnight Syndicate is.
I am not familiar, unfortunately.
Excuse me, Midnight Syndicate is a band that basically plays haunted attraction type music. And they've had soundtracks to like a couple films. They've done a movie called The Dead Matter. And yeah, it's all spooky type music.
Well, that certainly sounds fun.
So if you like that, you should check them out. They have some really cool videos up on YouTube and stuff like that. So,
yeah, that sounds good. Now, is there anything that you'd like to leave with the audience before you get the tacos?
well, I am definitely getting tacos and a chili burger and a, fun time soda bill. But what my thing is like I always end the show via like Bob Wilkins had a little painting or slogan saying "Keep America strong, keep watching horror movies." But I personally say keep watching those horror movies, keep the world strong, really, because there are a lot of great filmmakers from all over the world. So if you want to make a horror film, go for it.
Well, I think that's a great button to end on, and I would like to just basically say one more time down in the descriptor. We have Joe's Facebook, we have his YouTube, we have his Create TV, which broadcasts his show. You said every Friday?
Friday night, 11:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2:30 Coast Time. I'm sorry, East Coast. I know I'm on super late, but it's the weekend.
East Coast is best coast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I tell you what, I'll go ahead and get this closed out. Thank you, Joe, for stopping by. You're always welcome to come back around. And if you're ever up and can get that Google functioning, you're more than welcome to come on the Insomnia Ramble stream, which we have at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard.
Awesome.
And we pretty much talk about everything. So definitely there is nothing out of range. So what I'd like to do is go ahead. Not only thank Joe, but also thank everybody in the audience who came out this evening. If you're looking forward to some more interviews, then we got a good one for you next week too, which is we'll be talking to the lead guitarist of the Alice Cooper Band. Ryan Roxy will be here live from, I think he lives in Sweden. So we'll be talking to Ryan Roxy, and then to finish out the month, we're going to be speaking with Cecil from the YouTube channel Good Bad Flicks. And so that's finishing up a real nice month of interviews. So we certainly appreciate everybody coming out. And once again, there's no diagnosis needed. Everything's fine here. So from myself, DocGriffon, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. And the doctor's office is now closed. Good night.